welcome back. Here we are today in Lock Haven, up at the former Piper Aviation Company. With me is Ron and Ed. In a moment, I'm going to give Ron and Ed a chance to introduce themselves, but here we are, this cool museum up here in Lock Haven in the former engineering building of the Piper Aircraft Company. So Ron and Ed, feel free to introduce yourself and let them know what the museum's all about.
Hi, I'm Ron Dremel, president of the Piper Aviation Museum. I've been involved for the last 4 or 5 years, and I've been the president for about 3 years now. Local pilot, fly a Piper Comanche built right here in Lock Haven.
And my name is Ed Watson. I'm the manager of the museum. I've been volunteering here since 2004, and I've been the manager for the last 2 years, and was formerly the airport manager here at Lock Haven for 16 years.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it. So let's go way back here. Let's the beginning of the company. So they came from Bradford initially. Kind of explain to us how they came from Bradford to Lock Haven.
Well, they were in Bradford, Pennsylvania. It was the Taylor Brothers Aircraft Company. There was a fire in Bradford, plant burned down, and they had to find a new facility. Found an old abandoned silk mill here in Lock Haven, and moved here, and the rest is history. Just expanded from there. Became one of the big 3 general aviation companies, and we're here right up until 1984.
Cool, very cool. So as he said, the whole Americana general aviation field was, Cessna, Beechcraft, and Piper. And, right here in Pennsylvania, we had one of them. So it's kind of cool. So they came down to Lock Haven, and they were here till approximately 1984, correct?
Correct.
And after 1984, they shut down this plant, but kept the plant down in Florida operating. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, they had built a facility in Vero Beach, Florida, specifically to build the Piper Cherokee line, and it better flying weather, I think, too. And then when the general aviation was going downhill in the 80s, they consolidated everything into their Vero Beach plant.
Very cool. So with everything in America during World War II, production for a lot of automobile manufacturers, aircraft manufacturers, kind of halted, and they changed pace to fit with the war effort. And what was Piper's specific contribution to the war effort?
Well, first of all, 75% of the World War II pilots had their initial training in a Piper Cub.
Very cool.
Further from there, they converted the Cubs into L4 Grasshoppers, which were used for everything from aerial jeeps, reconnaissance, bomb spotting, basically the plane that won the war.
Yeah, very cool. Good. Well, there you have it. I'm going to give Ed a chance to talk. I don't want Ed to feel left out. He's kind of standing here. But so Ed, tell me your involvement here at the museum. What this museum means to you with your interest in aviation?
Well, when I started my career in aviation, I actually wanted to work for Piper, but by the time I was ready to go to work for Piper, they were leaving, going to Florida. And so I didn't have the opportunity to work directly for Piper, but I did work here at the airport for the management position at the Piper Airport for 17 years. And the history of Piper is extremely important to keep alive here at Lock Haven, because this was where 75,000 airplanes were made. And one in particular, the J3 Cub, became our state airplane in 2014. So if you're looking to come see the state airplane, this is where you want to come to see it.
Cool. Now you did mention the airfield. So there is also an airfield here in Lock Haven, right behind us outside. Maybe later we'll get out there. If it's not foggy, hopefully we'll catch some action, but no promises. But so there was some talk about the airfield being shut down. Where do we stand with that currently?
Right now there has been a committee formed to try to help the city determine the direction that they are going to take to keep the airport open. How that's going to happen has not been determined yet, but it is everyone's desire to keep the airport an open airport.
Absolutely. So that's another reason if you come here and support the museum, you're also supporting that cause as well. They kind of go hand in hand. So where would you like to see, or what is your vision for this museum and the airfield in the next, say, 25 years?
Well, the museum needs to expand to get one of every airplane that was built here in Lock Haven and in Florida, because that would be our goal, to have one of every airplane that has been built by Piper on exhibit here at Lock Haven. It would require the museum to have an extension built to it, which there is planning underway for that. And we'd just like the airport to continue to grow as a general aviation airport, perhaps get a restaurant on the airport to help draw more people, and to keep Sentimental Journey flying going, which is our annual fly-in in celebration of Piper, which occurs the 3rd week in June every year.
Oh, very good. Well, there you have it. We're going to take a tour around the museum, check out a few cool things that they suggest, and we'll talk about those, give you a little more detailed insight and history into the Piper Aircraft Company, which was, I did want to touch on, the employees that worked here until 1984. Is there a general consensus that the Piper Aviation Company was a pretty good company to work for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. Well, there you have it. The Piper Aviation Company is still in existence down in Florida, and they're international as well, correct?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. And all right. So let's take a walk around, check out a couple cool things, and we'll learn more about the history of Piper Aviation here in Lock Haven. Hey, behind me is a really cool display. It's one of the Comanches. The Comanches was one of the iconic Piper Aviation models that was made right here in Lock Haven. This particular one was the first one that was done in the 1960s. I'm going to let Ron kind of give us a tour of this plane, and we'll take a walk around it, and he can get more detailed. He knows a lot more about it than I do, obviously, but it's a beautiful plane. Again, one of the most iconic Pipers that were made, and a lot of favorites by aircraft and Piper enthusiasts. So let's check it out.
This is one of my favorites here at the museum, being a Comanche guy. This is the 8400 Papa, the very first Comanche 400 off the line here in Lock Haven. It was donated to us by Jim and Janet Fisher a number of years ago. Again, the very first production 400 Comanche, originally owned by Pug Piper. And Pug wanted a bonanza killer back in the day. He wanted the fastest single-engine airplane that they could make, and his answer was to put a 720 cubic inch, 8-cylinder, 400 horsepower Lycoming engine onto a Comanche, and it was the fastest single-engine airplane in the day, manufactured in 1974. This is restored to an all-original condition, and beautiful 3-blade prop, and of course we have the fire-breathing 720 cubic inch, 8-cylinder Lycoming engine. It takes up a lot of space here in the front of the plane. Plane would cruise at about 181 knots, and again, fastest single-engine airplane in the day.
Hey, here we are with another cool piece. This is the PA-12 Super Cruiser. This was manufactured between 1946 and 1948, and this particular model right here flew around the world in 1947. It was manufactured in 1947 and flew around the world. Pretty cool story. I'll let Ron kind of give a quick, brief history on this specific plane. Ron?
Yeah, again, a 1947 PA-12 Super Cruiser, manufactured here in Lock Haven between 46 and 48. This is the City of Angels, one of 2 ships that flew around the world in 1947. The sister ship to this is hanging in the Smithsonian Institute in Dallas. It took about 3 months to fly around the world, other than some extended fuel tanks, basically a stock PA-12 Super Cruiser. Here's another one of my favorites, not an airplane, but it's a 1953 Buick Skylark, which was a limited production car, originally owned by Bill Piper Jr. It was his personal car here in Lock Haven, and we now have it in the museum. V8 engine, 4-barrel carburetor, capable of 100 miles an hour.
Hey, check this out. As I mentioned earlier in our introduction, during World War II, a lot of your manufacturers of automobiles and aircraft and all kinds of stuff had to shift roles a little bit to kind of fit the needs of the war production effort. So behind me is the L4 Grasshopper. This was produced between 1942 and 1944, played a huge role in World War II. I'm going to let Ron kind of give us the walk around this thing and explain it.
This is one of our newest displays. We opened this room in the summer of 2022. This is the L4 Grasshopper, which was the military version of the J3 Cub. This airplane really won the war for us. This plane was used as a jeep, a flying jeep, used in reconnaissance. It was used in bomb spotting. Pilots would fly around and radio back to get the bombs in within 1 or 2 shots. When the Germans saw this airplane circling around overhead, they knew they were in trouble.
So during World War II, Piper created a version of the J3 Cub called the Grasshopper. This aircraft was also known as the L4 and was used primarily for observation flights and surveillance flights during the wartime. And it was basically a non-combat aircraft. However, several pilots in World War II took matters into their own hands and strapped bazooka rocket launchers to the wing struts of the airplane. And one of those pilots' name was Major Charles Carpenter. A book has been released this year called Bazooka Charlie and the Unbelievable Story of Major Charles Carpenter and Rosie the Rocketer. Rosie the Rocketer was what he christened his L4 Grasshopper, and he strapped 6 bazookas, 3 on each side on the wing struts, and he took out 13 tanks in World War II with his Rosie the Rocketer. He would have to fly at 100 feet above the ground and get within 75 yards of the tank before he could shoot, and he was shot at a lot, but he was a very lucky guy. In fact, in early life, his nickname was Lucky Carpenter, and his luck held throughout World War II, and he never got shot down. The aircraft was actually found in Austria in 2016, brought back to the United States by the Colling Foundation in Massachusetts, restored, and is in a museum in Stowe, Massachusetts, where you can visit Rosie the Rocketer. So it's a fascinating story, one that is based on letters that he wrote home to his wife and historical evidence as presented by Jim Busha, the co-author of this book, with Major Charles Carpenter's daughter, Carol Ann. It's got lots of pictures and evidence of this being a true story. Many people thought it was just folklore, but it is a true story, and a fascinating one at that.
Okay, so here in the museum is a display area with stuff that's related to aircraft, but not necessarily the aircraft, which is the main attraction here. But it's really cool because it gives you an insight as to how this company started from the very, very early days to what it became today. And behind me, Mr. Piper's photo, you can learn all about his life, which is very interesting. It's not just like he woke up one day and decided to make an airplane. It's kind of interesting how he got to that point. So you can learn so much here. Again, with these videos, as I said before, it's so hard to capture everything in these videos that we're now trying to make 15, 20 minutes instead of an hour. So, when you come here, understand there's so much more to learn and see. We're only showing you a small fraction of what's here. But real quick, Ron's going to give you a brief, quick rundown of Mr. Piper and his life and how he started the aircraft company and how it got to where it is today.
Mr. Piper got into the aviation business almost reluctantly when the Bradford Chamber of Commerce lured Taylor Brothers Aircraft Company to Bradford. Mr. Piper invested in the company during the height of the Depression, and the company went bankrupt. Mr. Piper bought the assets of the Taylor Brothers Aircraft Company at a bankruptcy sale and formed Taylor Aircraft Company, and he immediately gave half of the company back to Mr. Taylor, who was the expert in aviation, not Mr. Piper. However, Mr. Piper wanted to build small, inexpensive airplanes, and he soon became known as the Henry Ford of general aviation.
When you come into the museum, you'll notice this map here. This map has little pins on it, and the pins represent the people that came here to visit. So they're missing one state, I don't know if you can see, but North Dakota. So if you're from North Dakota and watching this, fly on in here and check out this museum. It's a really cool place. You won't regret it. There's also, interestingly enough, today, you'll notice, I don't know if you can see, but there's some other countries, maps of other countries. And today, while we were here filming, there was an international visitor from New Zealand. So that's kind of cool. So that shows this museum has reached many different areas outside the country as well. So again, wherever you're from, specifically North Dakota, come on visit, come on down. They would love to have you, and you can put a pin from your hometown. Hey, standing out here on Bald Eagle Street in Lock Haven, behind me is the production facility where the Piper aircraft were manufactured up until '84. If you look down, the 3-story building that way was the original building when Mr. Piper moved down here from Bradford. That's where they started everything. And then, of course, you can see the rest of it. It was added on over the years as the aircraft became more popular. Obviously, they had to expand with it. When they left in '84, here's a little interesting fact that not many people know. When Piper left in '84, there was another individual under the name of Taylor Aircraft that tried to make more aircraft here after Piper left, and it didn't pan out. It didn't take off. It only lasted a real short time. But yeah, so the building now is just warehousing. But this is it. This is where it all started. The popular aircraft that became popular around the country and the world, right here in Lock Haven, Pennsylvania. Hey, out here on Bald Eagle Street again, directly across the street from the production facility you just saw. Behind me is the building that's now used by Clinton County as the county administrative offices. This building was the world headquarters for Piper Aircraft up until 1984. All right, hope you enjoyed the episode today. This was really cool. I want to thank Ron and Ed. I mean, awesome. They took time out to show me around, do these interviews, and get some good footage here. So again, this is one of those little hidden gems all throughout Pennsylvania that we have that you don't know it's there until you find out by accident or someone tells you about it. Hopefully this video gets the word out. This museum has a great story to tell. It's a great piece of Americana history. So if you ever get up into the Lock Haven area, be sure to check it out. And I'm going to give Ron and Ed a moment to give any final thoughts, final words they have for you. Guys?
So we welcome you to come join us here at the museum for a tour. We're open Wednesday through Sunday. Our hours, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are 9 to 4, 10 to 4 on Saturday, and noon to 4 on Sunday. If you'd like a private guided tour, you can call us to set that up as well. And we would love to see you come here. Ron?
Again, thanks for watching the video, and we hope to see